You've been under a lot of stress?
No, it's not stress related.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know that because it could be subconscious stress that's showing up in this way, so you never know.
What would your next steps be for somebody in your own family? Like, what would you tell them?
Honestly?
Like, honestly, what would you tell that person?
Honestly, I would probably ask them to find a really good therapist.
Once one doctor put in her notes that my symptoms were caused by anxiety, every single doctor put that all of my symptoms were from anxiety.
To a health alert about so-called medical gaslighting. That's when doctors inappropriately dismiss a person's health concerns.
A Metro Atlanta woman says her surgeon dismissed her complaints of pain and discharged her from the hospital. Days later, she was rushed back and diagnosed with a potentially life-threatening condition.
So I'm supposed to just live like this forever? I'm 26 years old. I can't even move. My life is miserable. I was in a wheelchair. I was fully disabled, yet doctors were still telling me that it was just anxiety.
Factitious disorders are conditions in which a person deliberately and consciously acts as if he or she has a physical or mental illness when he or she is not really sick.
Are they actually rare, or are they just been dismissed for years and years and years?
You just kind of feel like you're going down a rabbit hole.
This shouldn't have happened.
I'm always shocked by how many women talk about the exact same thing. Every time that they go to the doctor, they're told that their symptoms are anxiety. Today I'm interviewing women who have been through this for years before actually getting a diagnosis. And we're gonna try to find out why this is happening.
I was a happy, healthy 26-year-old when everything started for me. I was living my best life in Los Angeles. Looking back, I say that my life was perfect, so I felt like I was in such a high point in my life. And then I went to Tulum on a friend's birthday vacation. We had an amazing time. However, I got food poisoning on the last day of the trip. I had some pain in my body and it just quickly spread like wildfire. I say this truthfully, I describe it as being like I was being burned alive. I started losing control of my hands. I went to the hospital, everything came back normal. They pretty much told me, I don't know what to tell you, here's a handful of opioids, deal with it outpatient. And that really is what started my diagnostic odyssey.
Hysteria is a diagnosis that doesn't exist anymore. There was a sense that the womb could move about, and part of the mischief it created was upset in the body and in the brain and in the behavior of women.
I've been in the medical system for most of my life. I have had good medical care for most of my life. That was frustrating, but at least they listened and they paid attention. Fast forward to these past 2 years, after I had my children, I started feeling a lot of fatigue, just my body not feeling right. Joint pain, a lot of inflammation, a lot of acne, just a lot of things where I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. I was in a closed medical system, HMO, where the insurance company and the medical providers are the same. The gaslighting was extreme. It was like an Olympic sport.
When I first started with my symptoms and went to see a doctor, I was fully trusting. Because my only experience with the medical system was when you're sick, you go to the doctor, they give you something, medication, whatever, and you get better and you're on your way. Doctors were treating me great and they were really excited to try to help me with my case until my lab started coming back normal. And that's when everything changed.
Once one doctor put in her notes that my symptoms were caused by anxiety, every single doctor I saw in that system put that all of my symptoms were from anxiety. So my first big gaslighting experience in the last 2 years was with a nephrologist. Nephrologist is a specialist for the kidneys. And I have congenital birth defects in my kidneys. And it was the nephrologist that walked into the room. I kid you not. He walks into the room my first time meeting him and says, "So, I know you think you're a zebra. You're not a zebra." There's that phrase, if you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras, because horses are more normal and zebras are a little more rare. I was like, excuse me? Actually, I have a birth defect in my kidneys that like less than 3% of people in the world have, so. And so then he proceeded to spend the precious 15 minutes I have with him getting out a diagram and explaining the birth defect I have in my kidneys to me, which is fine, but I knew that. I'm 52 years old, I've lived with this. And then proceeded to tell me that my hypertension issues I was experiencing, and these were extreme, they would send me to the ER, 256/128, stroke level hypertension on medication, that they were just from me being anxious and me taking my blood pressure too often, and I should take my blood pressure less. And I said to him, okay, can you at least do a differential? What do you think could be causing the blood pressure if we take anxiety off the table? I don't need to do a differential. There is no reason. He was the first one that put anxiety in my chart, and from then on, second opinion nephrologist put that in the chart, hypertension specialist put that in the chart, PCP put that in the chart, and I just became the patient with anxiety.
We've looked at everything. Your symptoms are very non-specific. They don't fall into a very specific category.
Like, what would you tell them?
Honestly?
Like, honestly.
I would probably ask them to find a really good therapist. Honestly. I feel like there might be something internal that subconsciously is affecting them that they don't know about.
I think I was just seen as a hysterical young woman. Whether a doctor thought maybe I wanted attention or I was just being dramatic. I do feel like when I went into those doctor's appointments, they saw me as just a young girl. You know, it must be hysteria. And I remember looking him in the eye and saying, so I'm supposed to just like live like this forever? I'm 26 years old. I can't even move. My life is miserable.
I never experienced white coat syndrome before. But after that, the consistently, basically being told I'm crazy and it's all in my head, yeah, I would have to really get myself put together, get myself like mantras and affirmations, like go to the doctor, because I was begging for help because I had stroke level hypertension and I'm not getting help and I'm just being told it's anxiety.
I remember being inpatient at a hospital and having a neurologist come into my room, look at my scans, all my blood work that came back normal, and he explained to me that the way that medicine works is if I come into the doctor's office and say that my hand is blue, but then the doctor doesn't see that my hand is blue, then what could be happening? And he pointed to his head like this, pretty much insinuating that I was making the whole thing up or that it could be a mental health issue. I just remember feeling like my blood started boiling, but at the same time, so just defeated. I'm here in this incredible medical institution looking for support, and instead I'm being told that I'm completely making up my symptoms.
I was dismissed, where I was gaslit. When
that we keep getting brushed off and walking out of an appointment
really
like
wasn't
it's some sort of inconvenience.
When I felt diagnosed with mastitis,
Are they actually rare, or are they just been dismissed for years and years and years? Research is very slow. It's a slow-moving animal, and so women were required to be part of research in 1993. As of the 70s, there was a law that we weren't allowed at all. Childbearing age women could not be a part of research. I was already graduated from high school a year before women, 50% of the population, could be part of any clinical trial. Why? Because our hormones make us too difficult to test on. So absolutely, Does being a woman contribute to medical gaslighting? Yes.
I've had patients cry in my office because it was the first time that they really felt like someone was truly listening. That shouldn't happen. One of the main problems is that women just don't feel heard and they don't feel believed.
My parents really struggled with my condition and how quickly my body was deteriorating and how hard we were working to try to get answers only to come up empty-handed. It was every single day I was getting worse, and every day there was another doctor telling me that I'm either totally fine or they don't know what to do with me and I was just gonna have to live this way forever. When you are trying to move forward, you're trying to get help, and pretty much no one is able to help you. You start thinking, wow, am I ever gonna get past this? Is this who I am now? And if it is who I am now, I kind of want a definitive answer. I want a definitive diagnosis that says I'm someone who has to lay in bed for 24 hours a day for the rest of my life so that I can come to terms with that and I can become a new person based on that information. But when you're just floating around in the medical system ether with no answers and no support, it's really hard to start bridging those two pieces of the physical self and, you know, your identity of who you are.
It was thousands of dollars to be told it's just anxiety. And now I have lifelong damage to my eyes. Knowing this could have been prevented feels frustrating. This shouldn't have happened.
The financial strain is absolute, especially when you're unable to work and you're having to rely on family members or your savings. And then emotionally, I feel like I'm a completely different person now than I was before I went through this.
That particular woman is really struggling. She's having physical symptoms and it's distressing to her and she doesn't know what's going on and she wants to understand what is going on in her body, and she lives it. She lives her symptoms and on a daily basis. And then she goes to the doctor and routine tests might show, hey, there's nothing wrong. So then she feels dismissed. She feels gaslit.
The consistently basically being told I'm crazy and it's all in my head.
When you are in those situations that you feel like you would have been treated differently as a man or as someone the doctor saw as a peer, it's not just anecdotal, it's not just something you feel, like the data and statistics exist to prove it.
And she's not getting any help. So now she's not only feeling the physical symptoms, but it's becoming more distressful to her because she's not getting any help either. Oftentimes when women are being evaluated for any sort of particular symptom, the evaluation is very limited. So that evaluation might be some blood work, physical exam. It's easy for the provider to say, okay, everything looks great. It may be a mental health issue. As opposed to kind of saying, okay, everything what we have right now is normal. We need to dive deeper. Let's gather more information.
It took 2.5 years before I finally found a doctor who would listen to me. He was able to diagnose me in 2024 with something called CIDP, which is chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. And it's when your immune system turns on your peripheral nervous system. And that was the first thing that really moved the needle for me.
It was when I finally left that medical system. I found a clinical trial on my own, on Instagram. It was a clinical trial, a research study on hypertension. And when I met with that clinical trial team for the first time, I was blown away by the time they spent with me, the questions they asked, the care they took, the believing, them looking through all of my labs and everything and being pretty outraged that my blood pressure was as bad as it was and not under control. It was just them being as frustrated as I was gratifying, and them being as caring and seeing me as a person. The having hope again. There is something about hope, right? Like somebody believing you and saying, hey, we're on this journey with you, even if they don't have the answers, gives you hope and a sense of peace and a sense of calm and a sense of, okay, no matter what happens, we're going to figure it out. We're going to be all right. That's all we want from our doctors. That's it. That's it.
And it all happened because I found a doctor who finally believed me.
I sought help for my resistant uncontrolled hypertension for 21 years before I finally got a treatment that worked. I fought for 21 years before any doctor truly believed me.
For change to happen, it needs to be twofold. On one side of the equation, there's major problems systemically that doctors are facing. Way too many patients, short appointment times, pressures from insurance carriers, pressures from hospitals that does not set them up for success to help patients.
I think our insurance-based system is failing women with chronic conditions. And thus it needs a full-blown restructuring.
I think the biggest issue is with our insurance system. It is not patient-centered. It is for-profit. They're not taking care of patients. So that's number one.
And I think the other side of it is education on what the experience is moving through the medical system as a woman.
I see a tide turning and change happening. Finally, research is being done and we are a part of that research. We see that with PCOS just getting turned to PMOS. Endometriosis is starting to be understood differently. And so that education is coming out. A big part of it is social media. We're getting out and talking about it and people are going, oh my God, me too, that's me.
I have that flexibility to care for a woman in the way that I feel like she needs and she deserves, and we can spend as much time as we need to do that.
Doctors taking a beat. They only have 15 minutes with us. That's a time constraint that they have. But if they can take a beat and just ask, what's important to you today? Why are you here? How can I help you? And then having that perspective of, I am your partner in your healthcare and we'll figure this out together. We have to. We cannot sit back and just expect that our health is going to be taken care of. We really need to be our advocates.
When I first started posting about my story on social media, I was astounded by the feedback I got. I was hearing from women everywhere from my community to globally that they were dealing with similar situations where they have these health conditions that no one's been able to figure out. Doctors aren't willing to help, and they just felt completely stuck and scared in their respective medical systems. I decided to host a sort of, meetup support group in my community, and my thought was, I'm gonna post about it on social media. If nobody shows up, nobody shows up. If one girl shows up, that's great. I'm really glad that we'd be able to connect. I was actually shocked. I had about 20 girls show up to my first meetup. And now I've been doing them for about 2 years. It is both empowering to have other people who understand you, but at the same time, heartbreaking.
There are more female doctors now in medical school than male. So more women in medical school, writing more books about women's health. It's just becoming more part of the zeitgeist. I do believe this movement is stronger and it's gonna keep going, and they don't have to suffer the way that we suffer.
If we as women continue to connect with each other and share our stories, then hopefully we can get to a point where women feel understood and heard in the exam room and the medical system.
The power of us sharing our stories is being the change and making the change happen and having the conversation start. Telling our stories changes things.